Evolved, your home for Halo.
Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We're playing every mission of the mainline Halo video game series in chronological order, discussing our experiences and sprinkling in a bunch of lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. If you like what you hear and want to support the show, visit Podcast Evolved on Patreon. This episode, we're debriefing the recovery mission as well as the lockdown area from Halo Infinite. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
Matt Salvatore.
Ahoy, ahoy.
And Krista Brown.
Glibnub is life.
That it is.
Last mission was Outpost Tremonius, emerging from the depths of Zeta Halo after defeating one of Escherum's chump lieutenants. Tremonius, Master Chief, and his new companion cleared out the Banished that occupied the forward operating base above. The two reunited with the pilot and convinced him to help follow a distress signal located a few clicks away. Now in recovery and the open world area, the pilot drops John 117 on a new section of the ring near the distress signal located by the weapon. Master Chief quickly captures another fob and then heads out to get his bearings, thin the Banished ranks, and reunite with UNSC forces scattered about this portion of Zeta Halo. The date of the game is May 28th, 2560. David, why don't you take us along this Pelican ride as we go off into our first open world area?
No problem. So yeah, this mission begins technically immediately after the previous one. So once you climb into the Pelican at the end of Operation or Outpost Tremonius, you begin a lovely little Pelican ride. Like I said before, that I think should be all fast travel. So you just move through the Pelican as the Pelican moves through the world as you look out the rear of it, and the weapon pops up open on your hand, and there's a cool little exchange between like herself and John. She pretty much is like really impressed with like everything she sees. It's kind of cool because you're just seeing like the map move, like destruction, and there's just like a cool, I don't know, there's a cool vibe about it. So she just goes, "It's beautiful, isn't it?" And John just says, "To some," which is like a cool John thing to say. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So she kind of looks up at him and kind of like picks up on the vibe, I think. So she pretty much asks him, like, she doesn't, it's clear now, kind of like, she wasn't given any information at all other than do your mission. So she was pretty much designed for one purpose, very much, and then, like she mentioned before, she was supposed to be deleted. So she had to lock down Cortana, but she doesn't know why. She wanted to know what did Cortana do that was so wrong. To John, then pretty much
she looks
says,
up like
nothing.
she's like a little kid, right? Like, so
yeah,
Dada, why is this the way it is?
Why is this the way? Exactly, which it's true considering the fact that she's only 6 months old,
right,
thereabouts, and 6 months without any access to anything. So it's not like she could be learning new information. It seems to be she was very much in that console doing nothing.
I think she was learning about like the Silexes and just some of the
that's
stuff,
true.
That's about it. Yeah,
but she obviously had no access to sensors or anything because she didn't even know what a Banished was.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So she's pretty much there, and then John just says she was our target. So then she's got like a cool facial animation of like, okay, yeah, but why? This is classified. I don't have all the information. What's the actual answer to that question? And then John just doesn't answer her. Like he just doesn't tell her shit all throughout this game. And then conveniently other things start to happen that kind of cut off the conversation. So like the Pelican pilot starts giving out. Oh my god, Banished is everywhere. He's freaking out. There's like alarms going off in the Pelican. It's kind of rocking a little bit. So like he's just having a little freak attack. So the weapon just pretty much says, "What intel did Dr. Halsey give you beforehand?" And John just says, "She only tells you what you need to know." I.e., I'm not telling you anything because you don't need to know. Which is kind of hardcore. So like he's just, pilot gives out, you kind of get to see some other kind of like locations in the map. The weapon is still asking her questions, trying to understand, and the pilot is giving out. John is saying nothing through all of this. He's just soaking this in. pilot's giving out, holy shit, there's a big structure, I gotta get out of here. And the weapons is like, okay, I'm out of here, we'll have to wait, because he's having a panic attack. This is also probably the first area you could notice that, like, the chip in the back of John's head lights up green when people are talking to him. So, like, when he's receiving transmission. So you get to see when the pilot's talking, it's lighting up green, which I thought was a really kind of cool touch.
Does it
probably
change
makes
when the weapon is talking to you? Is it a different color, or is it always green?
I haven't noticed, to be honest. It doesn't look like it's changing color when the weapon's talking to him in his hand.
Oh, okay.
So, like, I don't think so. It seems to be maybe it's external communications, maybe. That's my first assessment. So, essentially, John just says, all right, put us down exactly where it is. So you get to see the tower. It's a really cool kind of structure, a really cool layout. And it's pretty dope. It's pretty cool. And then John just goes, it's close enough. And he just does a big cool jump out of a pelican. Hero lands on the ground, and away you go. You are now open in the world.
Boots on the ground. That's right. So you can just wander here, and you're now. So this is a little.
You just leave. You just go somewhere else.
Take a nap.
Exactly. So it puts you right by Fob Golf, and it's more. The game is more or less saying, "Hey, go do this," but you can do whatever you want here within this area. It's a little weird because you start at the top. So if you go to your map. I forget if you can access your map right away or if you need to wait. But
you can access the map. There's nothing on it.
Yeah, since Tremonius.
Okay, so the top left, like where you start with Tremonius is kind of the top left, but you can't really explore that area. You see this big chunk of land. You can't explore that area until you finish another couple missions. But you can explore this chunk, so the bottom left. So that's a little confusing, I guess, to the players. Like, okay, I'm up here. But now I'm down here, and this is the part that I can explore. Anyway, you can now we'll unlock our checklist of things to do here pretty soon. I'll just take you through golf, and then each of us is going to talk about different things that we can do in the open area. So I'll cover the fobs. Krista is going to cover the outposts. Matt is going to cover the UNSC distress signals, and then David's going to cover the the high value targets, and we'll talk about a couple of other things. We're not going to cover off on all the audio logs that you can that you can find. Those we'll do in a separate podcast evolved episode, just at least covering them. But it won't make a ton of sense to do like an audio walkthrough of everything. So we'll cover the highlights for you throughout the way. So Fob Golf is right in front of you. You can go get a Foxtrot if you want that to be your first outpost, or excuse me, Fob to unlock, and you'll have that same conversation that you're going to have here in a little bit with the weapon. But it makes sense to just grab the one that's right below you. So you just kind of head down this cliff here. It's sitting right there, Fob Golf, and there's some brutes there. There are what else is down there? Some brutes, jackals, and grunts. There's a turret on the side there that is a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it's pretty easy to clear this area out. Anything you guys want to mention? I don't know, David, about this first little fob? It's pretty basic.
It is, but I like how it's still a cool environment where like you attack from a cliff on high. So like you can come down and I always come down and take out the turret that looks over it first, and then use the turret to clear a couple of enemies, and then you can kind of just jump down and take it at your leisure. If you go to the right of the turret, there's like a little banished kind of, let's just say, crate, and inside is a bunch of weapons and stuff like that, so you can go there and rearm and come and take on the outpost with some banished weapons if you want. I think there's a Skuriner or a Ravager or something like that. So that's pretty cool, and a couple of spike grenades. But like all of the actual fob bases are pretty much the same the whole way out. Like the actual structure itself.
The structure, right.
Yeah. So they're a similar layout. They're pretty just like a landing pad essentially with some crates on it. There's nothing particularly special about the first one, I don't think.
Which is kind of interesting, and I think I was talking to this with Tom about this, whereas the fobs are not really like a defensible, strategic military position where it's like there's no defense system. Like, imagine if you could like go get power seeds and like power up your defense system, so like you could build turrets or upgrade your fobs so that like if they like, in my opinion, they should have been like, oh, this fob's under attack. You could go and like rescue the fob or build defenses, maybe a little more Halo was 2. I think the funniest thing,
that'd be cool.
I think the funniest thing about this mission is like the pilot's like, there are banished everywhere. Holy crutch. And then I was like, when I was playing this, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're gonna drop me into this. I'm gonna get killed right away. So you drop down, and there's literally no one around, and I'm like John Travolta, like looking around, like trying to figure out where everybody is, and I'm like, oh, so. He's prone to like a little exaggeration where he's like, "There's everywhere."
Yeah.
So, there's like two people.
He was flying above, right? And he saw everything, and then he dropped you off nearby.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was just I was waiting for it to be like. I was waiting for like to be like completely swarmed upon.
Yep.
But
Chris,
no.
anything you want to add to the first fob here? Fob experience?
I mean, it's pretty basic, like we were saying. I mean, just a couple guys, you kind of just roll up in there, kill them all, and then, you know, you get the explanation for the fob, which is cool, but it's you know, it's this one, some of the fobs have some interesting encounters, this one is not one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
The
So
idea
you
of
hop
being
down.
able to call a vehicle though is actually kind of nice. Like I like that as a concept with the
yeah.
fob. Like I think that's cool that it opens up to fast travel and vehicle. You know, you can acquire vehicles there. I think that's a neat little aspect, especially for an open world.
Yeah, totally.
Adds a lot to it.
I'll cover up on
And
that.
the pilot will like comment on what you're bringing down.
Yeah.
Like later on in the game, you can obviously do more powerful vehicles. So if you order a tank, he's like, "What the fuck are you planning to do with this?"
And then
And it's funny, if you order a second tank, he's like, "What? The other one wasn't good enough for you?" Or like whatever.
Oh,
like,
really?
It's pretty. Yeah, like he didn't.
Once I
didn't do
ordered
enough
a
damage with
tank,
the
and
first
he
one.
was like, "This tank's name is Sheila." I was like, "Oh."
Oh, good.
Did he say it? Oh, that's cool.
I like when you order a wasp and he goes, "These things are like," he goes, "These things can't take damage at all," but so he's like
Yeah.
calling
He's
out like,
funny.
"These things suck, but good luck."
I think he said something like that to me before. Like, I'm glad you're flying it and not me, or something like that. I think he said
Right.
to me once.
Yep.
That's funny.
Yeah. Before we can call in all that stuff, we do have a little dialogue from the weapon. So you clear out the area, you plug her into the console, and then she pulls up your map and she's like, "Oh, here's all the stuff you can do." Doesn't she? I think she talks shit about the Banished and talks to him like really not smart. Or was that the previous one?
No, it's this one, and it's really great. And she's like, "I'm just gonna push." There's the Banished AI. I'm just gonna push him over there because he's really not smart. You know?
Yep.
Oh, this is cool. She's total sassiness of like of like hacking and stuff. I love her confidence. And
So you're
just,
kind of
all her
plugging into
quirks.
their battle net, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we've heard before in previous Halos. And so their battle net is essentially like the local internet, right? And here's all the stuff that you can do, and so your map starts to populate with things.
Chit chatter.
Right. And so, as I mentioned before, the things that populate onto... I guess you also can grab an audio log at each one of the fobs. And those audio logs cover the saga of the Infinity. And those will unlock in order. So if you don't have to unlock or grab those audio logs in specific order. It's just each one you grab will give you the next chapter of the Infinity. And so we'll talk
Which
about
is
that.
really nice.
Yeah, that's pretty handy. And I think there's 14 fobs. There's 12 fobs, or maybe there's 12. And then there's 12 audio logs to unlock. So on the map, so this is a little bit interesting here. So it shows you all of the collectibles around the area on the map specifically. So it'll show you, let's see, for each, so you go to your map and you like kind of mouse over, or mouse, because I was playing on PC, you kind of cursor over, and the area, it'll show you like the list of things to do. It'll show you the Mjolnir armories, and it'll show you how many. It'll show you the Banished audio logs. It'll show you the Spartan cores. It'll show you the skulls. It'll show you the UNSC audio logs, so it'll show you the number of each that you need to get. Eventually, it'll show you the Forerunner Artifacts. It won't right away. But once you find one, then it'll show it to you, and then it'll show you the number of propaganda towers. So the glibnub, amazing audio. I don't know, just cuts. So good.
I hate
So good.
that song.
Yeah,
Roses are red, blue tees.
we'll have to figure out a way to cover those because they're just so good. What it won't show you, it does show you, at least on this initial one, but it won't show you the high value targets until you get near them. Right? I believe that's how it works.
No, they'd show them automatically.
No, it shows up. The fob shows them up.
No.
Oh, it will pop them up in the area?
I think
Will?
I think
Yeah.
Colin's right though. I think because if they're close enough to the fob, it will light them up. But there are some high value targets that you have to go near them.
Are you sure? I thought they all
no.
popped up.
I don't know. I found them all just by the
No,
unlocking the fob.
There is
Same.
a high value target in later missions that's like past Tremonius, like on the other side of Tremonius.
Oh,
That was
right.
there for me.
That
was
was
there
there.
for me from
That's
like
what- yeah.
early game.
So that it might be that they just unlock all of them or in a certain vicinity. But I remember walking up on an area and then it appeared and I didn't see it originally.
Well, it could be that like the fob areas that are overlapping, you might have been in another fob area
Okay.
without having unlocked that fob, and you
Right.
just stumbled across the high value target
That's
first.
probably it.
Yeah, that will happen.
Oh, good.
Okay, so there's the high value targets. So maybe those do show up when you do unlock the fobs. Then you have the UNSC distress signals. Those don't show up unless they're like in your area. So there's two specifically, maybe a third one here. There's 4 total here, but a couple of them don't show up until you actually get close to them. And then the banished outposts, I feel like those don't show up until you're actually near them as well.
No, some of them are there. Like she calls it out to you. Of
think
like,
it's
oh,
both.
there's
This one
a
she does.
yeah, yeah. There's 1 or 2, and then there is a few that I think you stumble across.
Yeah. All right. So now you have your populate your map. Also, when you capture Fob Golf or Foxtrot, you'll get the mission complete little designation on your screen. So that is kind of recovery, because you do get a mission complete, but maybe the mission complete is for Fob Golf. I don't know. Recovery is a weird mission because it's like a multi-stage mission. We won't I guess cross it off our list completely until we do the tower, which we'll cover in the next episode. So I do want to cover off on a couple things. So we already talked about kind of calling down the ordnance, as they call it, at the fobs. So once you unlock a fob, so the first fob was Outpost Tremonius, and we got Valor for unlocking that, or for completing that. And we got 350 Valor points. The more Valor you get, the more things you can unlock at the fobs, or the more ordnance you can call in. So completing a mission, you will get 350 Valor. Completing an outpost, you'll get 100. Destroying propaganda towers, you'll get 10 Valor. And then for saving the Marine squads that are scattered about, you'll get 30 Valor. So your total the total amount of Valor that you have will accumulate over the course of the game, and then you can call in new and better things. So you first start out with just being able to call in a mongoose and a pistol, a sidekick pistol, because those are the kind of 350 Valor mark. I'll go through everything you can do. I've categorized them in vehicles, marine reinforcements, which are just additional marines that'll be at each fob, and then the weapons that you'll get. So I'll just go through this quick just so we have it documented. But the mongoose, from a vehicle standpoint, is the mongoose for 350 Valor, the razorback for 500, the warthog for 800, the gun goose for 1400, the scorpion for 2000, the wasp for 2600, and then the rocket hog for 3200. Which I never really used the rocket hog because it's way at the end.
I will have to say, I think these are not ordered right. Like the rocket hog should not be the last thing you get.
Yeah.
It feels like
Well, especially since there's no co-op, why would you want to get into Warthog anyway?
Well, Krista. Oh my god,
Marines.
how dare you? The Marines are the
the Marines
star
are
of this game,
dum-dums.
Krista. They're the star.
All right, I will critique the Marines here in Halo Infinite. They don't shoot. They take forever to shoot. You have them on a
You'll
gun.
be able to direct them.
No, but like
are-
you have them on a gun, and they're like, oh, there it is. Okay, I guess I'll.
Oh, on the turret?
Yeah, they just take forever to actually like engage the enemy, and they never pick the enemy that's like the most threatening. Like, oh, let's go shoot that grunt. Never mind the ghost that's bearing down on us.
I know what you mean. Yeah, they are very slow to engage.
But you put those
I don't
Marines in
know.
a Razorback, and they're like,
Yeah, the Razorback is the correct option to play this game.
Yeah.
But like also like they're not. Their AI is a little bit weird. Like they don't get in vehicles, which is something I think is weird in this game.
Yeah, they don't drive them.
Yeah, they don't drive the vehicles; they'll only get in. And I do really wish you had a kind of like a way to direct them, of like issue a simple order to like go here or shoot a specific enemy. Even if it's like a D-pad direction.
Because you have a waypoint. You can set waypoints, right?
You can set waypoints on your map, and then I think in the multiplayer you have a kind of a ping.
Oh, that's right. The ping is multiplayer.
But that's only a multiplayer.
Yep. Yeah, because that was a Halo 5 mechanic where you could say, like, hey, blue team, go shoot the Warden.
That's what it was, yeah. I think they should have kept that. I wish they kept some of the squad stuff there. But anyway.
Maybe co-op will bring that.
Ooh.
So the other thing you can unlock is Marine Reinforcement. So it will add one Marine of this type once you get to this level of Valor. So the first Marine that you get at 450 Valor is just an Assault Marine, which is an AR. He's holding an AR, he or she. The next one is a Breacher Marine, which has a Bulldog, and that's 650. The next one is a Scout, which is holding a Commando for 1,000. Then Heavy Assault with the BR 75 is 1,200. Then you get a Sniper Marine for 1,600, and then a Demolition, which is the rocket launcher, for 1,800. So you eventually will get 6 Marines around each outpost, and when you fast travel, they'll just kind of be wandering around. Some will be on the platform, some will be off to the side, and then you can load them up into your Razorback or however you want to use them from there. They also don't get out of the way of the drops all the time, so you can drop.
Sometimes they try, and sometimes they epically fail. Like I've seen a dude dive into it and then just be crushed by whatever was dropped. So.
Yeah. On Goodwill Hunters.
He couldn't handle being on a Halo anymore.
Right.
He had enough. On Goodwill Hunters Fob, he actually has a Marine being crushed.
Yeah, he did an amazing Mega Constructs mock of the fob, and one of them is like he has a wasp in the middle of it, and there's like a dead Marine.
It's hilarious.
The other thing, well, here I'll mention weapons, and then we'll go back to the Marines here. So the Marines, so at the weapons, there's 4 crates, which is probably for co-op. There's 4 crates where you can then, I guess, what David said, maybe 3D print all of these weapons at your leisure. So
they don't explain it, but I wish they did. I wish they spent a bit of time talking you like what was actually happening here. I wish Valor was an actual resource.
I thought the weapons were like stored in the fob, and then they just kind of like came up like in a. You know what I mean?
I think there's like a Marine under the fob, and he's got this room full of stuff.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's like that orange juice commercial where like they're sticking their hand through and then like some guy runs in the field and gives them orange juice.
Yeah,
same concept.
Exactly.
Same concept.
What are you buying?
It's like a little dumb waiter. He just puts it on.
Yeah.
There we go.
But anyway, I assumed in my own brain that it was a 3D print job, especially because like when we'll talk about it when you get the first HVT and you get the first weapon. The actual weapon has a one-line dialogue of like where these things are coming from.
Yeah.
But we'll get there later. Sorry, Colin. Go on.
Okay, so sidekick. So if you want to get a pistol, you can get it for $350. And I like the sidekick. I mean, I never really printed it or called it in, but having a sidekick handy is fine, right? Then you get a assault rifle, an AR for $400. You get a frag grenade, which is weird because there are grenades like usually on the platform itself of the fob.
This is really weird. Yeah, I don't know why. And like, there's always a sidekick and an AR kicking around in a fob as well. Like, why would you need to print it? But anyway,
I think co-op comes into play on that one.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. But like,
you're still the only commando.
That makes sense.
Right. So the frag grenade is $550. Then you get a bulldog for $600, a commando for $900. Commando's kind of useful in the campaign, but
it's a brute killer.
How dare you?
It is the brute killer.
I love the commando, like the way it fires, the way it looks, but it's just, I don't know.
Great for headshots.
I'd take a BR over the commando any day, though. But that's just me.
100%.
Yeah.
I still like it, though. It's a good weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, the DMR was way better than the commando. Way better, yeah.
BR 75 for 1,100. You get a sniper for 1,500. The Spanker rocket launcher for 1,700. You get the Hydra. I'm a fan of the Hydra for 2,100. And you got the Hydra off of Tremonius's dead body, so you could have that still. And then we have the fancy versions of all these. So you get the Striker Sidekick for 2,200, which has a just more powerful pistol. You get a long shot AR, which is improved range, so you get that for 2,300. A Convergence Bulldog, which is increased ammo and range.
Oh, it's so good. It's such a good weapon. All of these are amazing.
Yeah. When you get up here, you just grab these. Don't go for the basic versions. The Bulldog is 2,400. The Impact Commando, which is increased ammo and range, and reduced accuracy, which I thought was weird because the Commando is not accurate to begin with.
Shots fired.
700. The BR-75 Breacher is improved stopping power for close range, so it hits harder. 2,800 for that. You get the Flex Fire Sniper, which is increased ammo, but it says close range, so maybe it's not as impactful. That's 2,900. The Pursuit Hydra, which is a faster target lock and improved rocket velocity. That sounds dirty. That's 3,000. And then eventually, so when David's going to talk about it, when you kill the high value targets, you'll unlock special versions of the Banished weapons, and then you can pull them up in your base as well. Whew. All right, that was a lot of info, but I feel like we needed to cover it at least at some point, so now is the time. All right, so we have Gulf captured. The mission is kind of complete, but we're going to wander around. I'm going to go talk about Foxtrot really quickly. Foxtrot is off to the left, not too far from Gulf. It's just to the south, I guess, of the tower, because the map is indeed like north and, north, south, east, west. So you can go head over there. There's nothing super special about that, other than it's just closer to the propaganda, or to the tower itself. There's a propaganda tower nearby. It's protected by some elites. There's a couple blue elites. There's a red elite, and then a bunch of grunts. There is an elite that has a Ravager as well, so watch out for that. But other than that, it's just like another location that you can fast travel to. So nothing super special about Foxtrot. It's in a I don't know, just like a little. It's kind of plopped in the middle of the ground. Kind of to Matt's point is like there's not really it's not super strategic locations. They're just kind of. They're more or less placed. It feels like a development thing. It's like, here's a good spot where you might want to fast travel to. So here you go. Not necessarily like within, like the side of a cliff that only, that you can easily defend. Okay, so next on our checklist, outside of the forward operating bases, are outposts, and I'm going to hand it off to Krista to cover Ransom Keep. These are kind of fun, I feel like.
Oh, they're super fun. They're super fun. As you go through the game, there's a lot of different ones. They're kind of like you go in, you press some buttons, and you're done. But it's all very cool concepts. Each outpost has kind of a different personality. There's always a brute over the loudspeaker that doesn't know what the fuck's going on. She's like, what is it?
That is so accurate.
So it's every single outpost they're like screaming into the mic.
Right.
It's really funny. Ransom Keep is a fuel deposit, so there's these huge fuel towers, and once they notice you're anywhere near the base, they lower them. And you're like,
right.
Okay, well, I just gotta raise them back up by pressing this one button, and then explode them.
Can you just shoot them from afar, or will they go down once you start shooting them? Do you know?
I don't know. I've never tried that. You
I've never
probably
tried
could
to
get
tell you.
one or two.
I feel like you could probably get one, like a double rocket off maybe before they retracts all of them.
Right.
Yeah, it
You
would
could
have
probably
to
do
be
one.
a meaty weapon, though, definitely. But once you get into the fuel deposit, you can go around. There's about 4. I think there's 4 or 5 towers you gotta get down.
I think there's 4.
Yeah, I think there's 2 right. There's 2 right next to each other, and then there's 1 on either side of the main base. So all you really gotta do is press the button. The fuel cell will raise. A bunch of alarms go off, and then what I did is I just threw fusion coils at them.
Nice.
And then maybe like a sticky grenade, because the spike grenade and the sticky grenade both stick to the fuel cell, so you can just stick a grenade to it and explode it. Every time you explode one, the brute again yells over the loudspeaker. And as you're there's a bunch of enemies all over the place. There's brutes, there's a lot of elites, grunts, jackals. There's a couple jackal snipers on the different various buildings, so be sure to take those out because they know when your shields are down and they know when to fire at you, so be careful about that. As you go around and destroy these fuel cells, they start dropping in enemies, so every once in a while some drop pods will come down, or maybe a phantom will come down. The drop pods are really cool. When they drop down, they explode, which is such a banished thing to happen.
They do.
So it's
you can see the red
cool.
line too, like so you know where they're gonna drop, right?
Yeah, there's a little like dot on the ground, so
they'll kill you if you stand there, Colin. That's why there's a red dot. That's why there's a red dot.
Yeah, you'll get completely crushed. So you can go away from that. Usually they contain some brutes with shields or something like that, which is something kind of new we haven't seen in the game just yet, depending on what you do in this open area. So
you
some brutes with
skirmishers in them too.
Yeah, I think there are a couple skirmishers, which is really cool to see them come back again. Of course, I think it was Halo 5 that they started adding jackal dialogue, so the jackals do talk in this one too, and they just kind of squawk and scream at you. And the skirmishers do that as well. They got the little shields on their forearms. They're very cool.
Yeah.
So you'll see the skirmishers running around, you'll see jackals running around, lots of brutes, some elites. Once you get all of the fuel cells destroyed, the weapon's like, oh, they're also making equipment. They're taking UNSC equipment and they're repairing it or making excavation equipment out of it. And as you walk around the base, there's like piles of pelicans and broken tanks and stuff. So as you're going around getting these fuel deposits down, you do notice stuff like that around. So there are two equipment areas that you need to destroy that are manufacturing all the excavation equipment and other supplies for the Banished. One of them is kind of small. That's the one I usually do first. So it's a little bit of a small building. You go in there. There's a shield raised, and it took me like 10 minutes to figure out how to get this shield down my first go around.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm like,
I went on top of the building. I'm like, where is this thing? Went back down. There's a little scaffolding right above the door that is very hard to see. So
you gotta scan it, right?
Yeah, you can scan it, but it's hard to determine whether it's on the top of the building or not. So
height is a really hard thing with the scan, because like you could be scanning and be like, oh, there's a Spartan core, and then realize, oh, it's in a cave under me.
Yeah. It's hard to determine at times. So once you get the shield down, there's not really anyone in there. There's a couple grunts. You go in there, you destroy it, and you're like, that was easy. And then out of nowhere, a shielded elite with a sword just fucks up your shit, bro. These elites, the elites that are camouflaged are really powerful in this game. They are bitches.
Yep.
So he'll assault you.
They take some damage. Sometimes they'll go camo right away, but sometimes they'll go camo after they're damaged a bit, and then they just charge you, right?
And they know exactly when to like run away slightly, let their shields recharge, run back in. The camouflage is really good in this game. It's hard to locate them. Eventually you get something that helps you with that, but we'll talk about that later. But they're hard to track, they're hard to find. They're very aggressive, and they are kind of bullet sponges. They're really powerful. So he'll come and assault you. Yeah, they're very smart. So he'll come and assault you. Once you get done with him, you can go to the main repair bay, and you'll notice that there's a big present for you in the repair bay. One of the best things you've ever found. Because there's a fully working tank. Unfortunately, you get the fully working tank at the very end of this encounter, so you don't get to use it, really. But you can take it out of the base or come back to the base when you feel like you want to have a tank. So you destroy that repair bay. Again, another camouflaged elite comes and tries to assault you, but at this point you can literally just leave because your job's done. So you can just walk away.
Dust your hands off.
Yeah, you're like, no, I'm kind of done with this place. You can stay here with the tank. I'll be back later for it.
Nope,
Thank you.
it's 5 o'clock. My shift's ended. I'm out.
Sorry. So it's really fun. All these keeps are very cool. There's a lot of different variety, and it's also fun because it's like a big epic battle every time you go into one, so you can always expect some really fun action. So that is the first one. There are a couple audio logs and stuff. There's 1 Spartan core and I think 2 Banished and 2 human audio logs, so keep an eye out for those and the sounds they make. And determine whether it's actually making the sound or it's just your mind playing tricks on you.
That's true. Yeah, that definitely happens. Can we talk about the scorpion just for a second? Because this is the first one you encounter.
Yeah.
This thing, it's like it was awesome for me to find. It was like, oh, I love a scorpion. I hop in, at least this last playthrough, and I didn't clear out enough Banished before I hopped in it, and they immediately destroyed it.
Oh, really?
It's so slow, and it's just clunky as hell in this game. I really didn't use much Scorpion at all in Halo Infinite. I don't know. David, what are your thoughts on the Scorpion?
Really fucking slow. Yeah, I used it a few times because I really tried to. I went out of my way because I'm like, okay, it's like expensive in Valor. I thought it'd be near the end. It's weird that a Rocket Hog is there, but whatever.
Yeah.
I did call one in once or twice during the game. Because I was setting myself up for okay, I'm going to go take on one of these outposts and I'm bringing a tank with me, which is a kind of a cool thing you can do.
That's
sometimes.
what I did too.
But
I did that a couple times.
I think the Halo Zeta, the environment is not conducive to the tank. It is just so difficult to control, to get around if you're trying to the trees, in my opinion, should be destructible, especially the small
just
ones.
mow down.
Yeah, you should be able to run over or through some of the smaller bushes and some of the rocks and stuff like that. It is really difficult to maneuver around, so you can't really travel very far in any Scorpion that you get in this game. I did use it a couple of times and did have fun with it, and there's a mission where at the end where you get kind of a choice and there's a cool achievement for doing it and stuff like that. We'll talk about that eventually, but here at this base I did like finding it. I liked the premise of this base, and I wish they leaned more into it in this game of kind of is the resource gathering. You have to take scrap and turn it into things. I like the idea that that's what the Banished are doing, that they build these bases for stripping down vehicles in UNSC and getting raw materials out. I thought that was cool. It's such a cool premise. I wish they leaned more heavily into it, but it is cool. And in this particular outpost, when I did it the first time, I did jump in the tank and come out, and then that's when the reinforcements came in. I think I took out a couple of Pelicans. I was on fire by the end of it, but I loved that little kind of moment of okay, yeah, they've got reinforcements, but I've got a tank, and this was cool. I then tried to drive it to the next area I was going to, and was immediately going no, this is just painful, I'm out of here.
Right.
So that's my tank experience.
I think it's a larger critique about the vehicles in Infinite, whereas if you're staying on the main road, they're fine, but you come up on a part where there's a pebble in front of you.
Yeah, a pebble, literally.
You ain't getting past that. You're in an all-terrain vehicle suspension system. Nope. Nothing. Yeah.
That's even my opinion with the ghosts. The ghosts should be way more versatile, and they're terrible.
Well, because they're supposed to hover over everything, so they shouldn't even be. They shouldn't even be touching it. Stuff like that. It should. The gravity feature should conform to it. So no matter what you're going on, it should be able to go on it. Aside from maybe vertical.
Within a certain limit, but even older Halo games, you could do a little wheelie, little kind of a ramp just to give yourself a little bit of boost to get you over small things. I mean, the fact that that's gone is bewildering to me because of how Zeta is laid out, essentially.
I found that the hardest part with the Scorpion was turning. Turning was difficult.
Oh, it's so dumb. I can never figure out how to do it.
I'm trying to turn the turret, and the body's moving. I'm hold on, no, you stay there. And then I'll try to turn the turret, and I'm wait, why am I leaning? Why am I leaning? I'm no. So you try.
It shouldn't be this difficult, damn it.
Literally, I got one stuck on a tree and got out and called another one. I was just I'm not dealing with this. I did that once.
I was going after an HVT, and there was 2 little barriers in between, and so I tried to get the Scorpion to go in between, I must have been there for 15 minutes. Like, I'm like, okay, doing like a 10-point turn here. I'm like,
Right.
okay.
Austin Powers.
It was frustrating.
Yeah, it's disappointing because I love the Scorpion, but it just feels like it's just there's not enough open, like it's an open world, but there's a lot of stuff in the way, right?
That,
so
and the
not a
Razorback
huge...
makes it kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, Razorback's so good, exactly. So okay, so we've had our Scorpion discussion. Unless Krista, you're feeling frustrated too with Scorpion, kind of.
Oh yeah, it's just you know, I used it a couple times to storm bases, but other than that, I'm like no. It is really fun when you storm bases though, because you have to go in the base and lower the gate, so you get to like lower the gate.
I like that. I like that
there's
there's a little mechanic to that. That there is like, oh yeah, I jump the wall, I open the gate, I get back into my vehicle and bring it into the base wreck shop. That's cool.
I really like that the base is like the barrier is down, so if you like time it right, you can get your mongoose or warthog over the gate before it closes.
Oh.
So I remember I came up on it and they're like raising it, and I just ran up and it just caught the back wheel, but I still made it in. So I kind of like
that's cool.
Flipped into it. I'm like, yeah, man, Vin Diesel over here. It felt great. It felt great. I felt great. I felt like I am the boss of this the entire game.
The other thing with Scorpions is your Marines don't get on it.
Which sucks.
No, they don't. Yeah, they'll only get in the turret, and that's it.
Yeah, I would have been okay with it, but the fact that they just walk nearby it is...
Also for co-op, wouldn't that be awesome if your co-op members could sit on the tank?
Yeah, like a little spot for you to sit down. Love it. All right, so we've covered the outpost here, Ransom Keep. Now let's cover the distress calls, and there's a couple different versions of them here. So there's 4 here. I'm gonna hand it off to Matt in a second, but some of the distress calls are like the red smoke that we saw in the 2018 trailer, right? So they're actually in trouble and they're like fighting. And then there's other distress signals where I don't think you see the smoke and they're just captured, but you still like sense them, or the weapon will say, hey, there's some Marines in trouble nearby.
Right.
So I think there's 2 of each in this one.
Right. So the first, so if we're playing where we get dropped at Fob Golf, if you look to the right of you and you go climb up a mountain, grapple up a mountain, you'll encounter Boxer Squad, and this is a squad that is captured by the Banished, so you can free them. The cool thing about Boxer Squad is it's obviously it's on the mountain, but it's got a really nice view of the tower. So after you're done, you kind of just look, and there's the tower. The next, if you go down the mountain, continuing down to the right, you'll
real quick before you keep going. So the Marines, they more or less want to be freed, right? So they're captured by some, I don't know, energy thing. And if you can just leave them captured and clear out the area, or if you do, they'll like say, hey chief, they'll have dialogue the same more or less like, get me out of here because I want to go and kill the Banished with you.
Yeah, over here.
I also like that they're invincible while they're captured.
Yes.
I like that because then you can just wreck shop with grenades and not have to give a fuck.
Oh,
as opposed to like
that.
Yeah, if you rescue them, they're possibly going to die, especially if you haven't cleared out some of the bigger enemies.
Right.
I think Marines even on Legendary can take a bit of abuse in this game, which is good.
Yeah.
So like they're not weakly, but like when you immediately rescue them, they just have pistols and they try and scavenge weapons. So if I'm rescuing Marines, sometimes I have a purpose for them. So like I actually want them to live. So I might not rescue them till
I
they're
actually
done.
want them to live.
And the thing about this though is that after, so say you do clear out all the enemies, after you kill the last enemy for this, it will automatically free the
that's cool.
the Marine. Okay. So like it's almost like someone was the last person you kill had the switch that was like keeping the restraints on. So like it was a dead man switch. So once he dies, it unlocks it. And I think that was so that if you didn't kill everybody and then you kind of just left the Marines in prison, you just walked away like, I'll see ya.
Well, except once you free them, they won't stop following you.
Yep, it's true.
It's like, stop, leave me alone.
You'll get this little like blue sphere reticle thing on top of them that shows like they've paired up with you. And sometimes you'll hear like dialogue where they're like, form up on the chief, or we're with you, chief, or What?
It's like, just because I saved you doesn't mean we're friends.
I remember once there was this time where I was like, it's quiet. You know, Zeta's pretty quiet, but like this Marine walks up to me and I didn't totally expect it. And she just goes, "Forever grateful." It scared the daylights out. I'm like,
Where'd you come from?
I'm like, "What?" And they actually do a pretty good job of following you. I mean, aside like if you use things that are like grapple shot, where you like grapple over a mountain, they can't. But for the most part, they'll follow you. Because I remember
they do have a range. I feel like there was a point where when I was rounding these guys up, there was a point where one of the squads just wouldn't follow me anymore. They like climbed down a mountain for me. They like hopped down. I have a video. They like all hopped down the mountain like because I went ahead with my grapple shot, and then they just stopped, and then they didn't want to follow me anymore.
They're like, we're tired.
I remember I did. It was an outpost, and it's later on in the game. But I remember I freed a couple of Marines, and they're all like, "Oh, we're with you, Chief." And then I just hopped in a ghost, and I'm like, "I gotta go," so I left.
Bye.
And so then I'm at this outpost now, and I'm fighting the Banished, and my shields go down, and all of a sudden I just start hearing UNSC fire, and I'm like, they showed up. It was like on your left. I'm
That's
like,
cool.
"Oh shoot, they're back."
That's super cool. Just a note here, it sounds like, based off conversations with Joe Staten, that mechanic specifically, it was one of the things that they improved upon in the year delay, is just how those Marines interact with you.
Totally worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so then going down the mountain, so like I guess if you went, you know, over the mountain and through the hills, you'd eventually find Caveman Squad, which is near Boxer Squad. It's just down the mountain from it. It has a very nice view of the spire, but it's separated by a chasm. There's a down...
Spire's not there yet.
Oh, well, there's something there then. And then there's the... and then, so yeah, it is separated by a chasm, and then there's a downed pelican there, and then this is one where they're actually fighting. So you come across them and they're fighting the Banished. So it looks like the pelican went down, and the Banished came to get him, and so they kind of clustered around the pelican to kind of hold it off. So that's kind of neat.
There's a Razorback around there too, which is like so.
Oh yeah,
Call it in.
This was my first moment of this game is incredible. When I got that Vets with the squad, got all 6 Marines into a Razorback, and was like, oh my god, I had like a thing clicked in my brain. Now. Yeah, immediately crashed it and flipped it, but like it immediately became apparent to me the strength of this, because I then took those Marines and those Razorback and went to the tower in my first playthrough. And then, like, you get the achievement for doing that, for bringing Marines that you rescue into a main mission.
Oh, really? I should probably do that.
Yeah, how have you guys not done that? You're not playing this game, Craig. God damn it.
No, I don't give a shit about the Marines.
There is,
damn it, Krista.
There is a really cool piece of dialogue that the weapon says, where she goes, "Oh, we freed another Marines. They're alive. Hopefully, we see them back at the fobs." And I really like that line of dialogue, because it shows like, oh, where'd all these Marines at the fobs come from? Oh, well, they're Marines that you've rescued that have just regeared. You know?
Yep. That's cool.
So then next up, with Fob Golf, we went to the right. Now, if you get back to Fob Golf and go to the left and kind of come down the map, we will see Carrera Squad. And that's near this bridge that is down at the moment, so you can't hop onto the other side of the map, but it's near that vicinity. It also has an Atriox tower in it, so David mentioned the Atriox towers around it. This one's on like it's really no like prominent landmark features around it. It's literally just like a rocky side of the hill, and so you come up on these guys, and there's not much to it. It's not like there's the bridge near it, but it's not like previous ones. And then the final one, which
they're captured too.
They're the captured one. And then the last one, which is like on the farthest side of the map, up the mountain, way over on the side, is called Starlight Squad. And this one's really cool because I guess like it's built, it's like under it's like in a little cleft of the mountain. So you have
it's a really cool setup.
I honestly wish they did more with this area. Like, it'd be really cool if there was like a base here that wasn't a fob, but you just like had a base that you could fast travel there, because it's really like, I would say, easily defendable from like aerial assault and stuff like that. There is a audio log here, so you can pick that one up, and it actually this one, they're fighting and then they'll land in more banished reinforcements within, so that they'll attack you. So it's like, oh, you cleared it, now there's more. So this one's probably my favorite. It is a pain to get to because there's no fast travel, and at this point we don't have aerial vehicles, so you're just kind of hoofing it with your grapple hook, and you're just kind of making the trek to it. But it is a really cool area. I like it.
You can see a guardian off in the distance.
Yeah.
From down here. And I guess we'll just cover it now. It's not really a spoiler, but we never really come over here as a part of the mission or the campaign. It feels like maybe there was something that was cut or something that, I don't know, it's just like there's this big chunk that we never really do anything with outside of the Starlight Squad and a couple of collectibles.
Only thing it looks like is that the Marines at one time were using this as a base, or at least they are, and they were attacked. But it does seem like there was something more planned for this area.
Yeah. All right,
those are our distress calls.
Thank you, sir. Very nice. And so there are a bunch in the next area. Well, there's a lot more of this stuff in the next area, so we may end up doing two episodes. But let's cover off on the high value targets. So David's going to take this one.
Yeah, so one of the optional game mechanics you have are these high value targets, like Colin mentioned. They are like sub-commanders or sergeants of like various different races, and each of them will give you some valor and will give you a unique weapon. Some of them are pretty cool, some of them are what's the point of doing this?
Are they considered the Hand of Atriox, or is that only like
no,
Escherons?
These aren't the Hand. The Hand are like 5 specific people, like Jaga, the 2 brothers, probably Tremonius. I'm not sure if he was in the Hand or not.
Gotcha.
They don't really lean on it, but I don't think any of the high value targets are of the Hand. So the first one you get is, well, I guess the first one, you can go either or, your own opinion. There is Briglard, which is a grunt, and it has the he looks like the grunt mule. Essentially, he has that red armor and a bunch of weapons on the back. He's got like a pitcher. So here is some of his. They come with a nice little bits of dialogue, little bits of lore associated with them, which I really like. They kind of build you in, and like the weapon normally has a couple of bits of dialogue around them in terms of this guy's real nasty, or he's got a bad rap sheet, or careful with this guy, chief, or whatever. So the first 2 you encounter aren't particularly interesting. So the first one, like I said, is the grunt. We have one of the most disturbing reports from recent encounters with the Banished concerns an OWA known as Brigard. The grunt gained notoriety near the end of the Covenant War in the Great Schism, where his vicious and often sadistic behavior on the battlefield earned him a high priority target designation by the Arbiter and his allied forces. Briglard joined the Banished after the war's conclusion, where his macabre infatuation with violence and his affinity for the Jirahane, whose ruthlessness inspired his own, has earned him great respect amongst his peers. He has been known not to just kill UNSC personnel at rates far outstripping other Ungai, but to do so in horrific and disturbing ways. Which kind of sets up a real interesting character that doesn't really play out that well in the game.
Right.
Because it is essentially just a grunt with a health bar. He doesn't have a shield. He's got a name. He has.
You just go up to him and she's like, "Oh my god, he's horrible. You should be careful."
My god,
and then you like one shot him. You're like, "What?"
yeah. It's kind of like an interesting one. He has an unbound plasma pistol. I'm not really sure what the difference is with it. I think it's just a bit more powerful. I don't know if it's working.
They say it shoots like a shotgun. But
I don't think so. It just fires like a normal. I picked it up today just to see what it. Can I think of anything?
I think Aaron played with it a bunch and he had some good luck with it, but I didn't use it much.
There's not really too much to it.
You can also find it in near Outpost Tremonius. It's like on a cliff. There's a dead grunt off on the side. It's there.
That has it as well. Interesting. Yeah, I liked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. You have all of the high value targets have a little plinth, a little kind of like thing that has like a scan almost of the weapon just floating in space, so you can go over and pick it up. They also have it equipped on their person. He is surrounded by a bunch of kind of other grunts and other kind of like brutes and stuff like that. So he has a group of people just around him on this kind of hill. It's an interesting enough area to attack and fight, but like I said, killing him in particular is very easy. Like Chris has said. And the Umblaum Plasma Pistol is a bit of a wet, so you're not going to be too bothered with it. Like I mentioned before, when you pick it up, the weapon has a cool piece of dialogue where she says, "Oh, did you see that modified weapon that value target has? I've just made a scan of it, so you can request it at any other FA, any other fob. You should really thank the person, but you just killed them, blah blah blah." I like that. That's the only piece of dialogue around explaining where your weapons come from. I like the idea that like the weapon sees something unique on the battlefield, scans it, and be like, okay, now we can use this ourselves. I like that. As opposed to like being like you get something and bring it back to a fob. That would have been kind of cool mechanic for like larger vehicles or something like that. I know kind of Borderlands 3 actually has that mechanic where you take vehicles in the open world and bring it back to a vehicle spawn point, and you then can use that vehicle yourself. You can then spawn it in and stuff like that, and that's how you unlock skins and stuff. I like that. I wish kind of Halo did something like that, but even that one-liner is a nice real way around, okay, that's what's happening, and then I think that kind of explains that if you have a schematic, you're making it somehow. So in my brain, it's okay, you're 3D printing them back at the fobs. That's what you're doing. When she gets these schematics. So that's pretty much it. I don't know if anyone has anything they want to say about this guy. He's kind of meh.
Yeah, he's just funny. It's just hilarious.
His posse, his entourage is harder than he is.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I ran him over with a ghost, and I'm like, oh, did I kill him? I'm like, oh shoot, I killed him. Dang it.
Alright, next one.
Yeah, the next one we have is by far the most interesting of the two, and a little bit more when I actually looked into him of who this guy is. So we have Orko Vagadon. So he is actually a character from Halo Sacrifice, which is a short story that came with that crazy Walmart version of Shadows of Reach. So I still actually haven't read this, but it's a short little story that actually sets up Halo Infinite a little bit, and has this character in it, which is kind of cool that they brought him into the game as a high value target. So he is equipped with the Duelist Energy Sword, which I think is just a stronger normal energy sword. I don't think there's anything crazy about it. His bit of dialogue is, for the last decade of the war, Orko was considered one of the most lethal infantry assets in the Covenant, was granted the title of Blade Master by the Minister of Resolution for his remarkable combat ability. So Vagadon hailed from a long line of sword fighters and repeatedly defied odds, surviving even when vastly outnumbered. When the Covenant fell into dismay at the hands of the Prophets, he returned to Suban, the blood moon of Sanghelios, and his birth world, where he was approached by Atriox with an offer to join the Banished. Only after a year of watching his own people fall to civil war, he agreed. Since then, Vagadon has fought exclusively for the Banished as part of the Blood Brave, a sect of highly esteemed warriors from his homeworld. So that would have been cool if there was more to them, or if even if it was like he was surrounded by a group of elites that were special in any way. He's not. He's just got a bunch of dudes, mostly brutes, kicking around. The area where you fight him is interesting. He's a little bit tougher because he goes camo pretty much straight away. He shoots a plasma carbine pretty much at you constantly and throws grenades. And if you get close, he'll whip out his sword and attack you. My first time playing this fight was pretty cool. I found it quite tough. There's like a cave you can get to him in one way, and you can obviously come over the top of a mountain to get to him. It's pretty cool. He's surrounded by a bunch of dudes. It's a cool little fight, and he can be tough because he's camo almost all the time. But other than that, he's cool.
A lot of times I'll kill the high value target first, because I can see their health bar and stuff like that. In his case, I feel like because he went camo so often, I had to kill everybody else first, and then it was kind of me versus him.
Yeah, I did that too.
I'm pretty sure there is a rocket launcher on a cliff near him.
Yes,
which is handy. I like that.
But you gotta get lucky at this point because you don't have the thing that you need to get to know where the camo guys are. If you're doing it before the tower anyway, so you can always come back. And so that's the other point: is the squads and the high value targets and the keeps or the outposts, everything. You can you can come back and do that at any time at
Right.
any upgrade level or whatever. So you don't need to do them all right now. We're just covering them now because they're all in this one area before we move on.
Yep. Like the first time I played the game, I think I beat the entire main campaign and then went back and got box drive.
Right. Yeah. So you didn't even use it.
Yeah, because to be honest, you don't really need it.
Right. All right. Thank you, David. High value target coverage. There are 15 total, so we'll chip away at those as they're available for us to take out. The couple other things just to mention here in terms of collectibles. So there are 2 skulls in this area. There is the blind skull. So there's this giant crevasse kind of split in this area on the south side of the map. So the blind skull is tucked away in there. And you're probably better off just to wait until you get the wasp to get that, but it is down there. And then the I would have been your daddy skull is on top of the tower, which we will cover on the next episode. Easter eggs. There's a couple. I want to mention it now too. Is there's dolls around the map, and you don't get anything special. You can just find them. There's no achievement or anything. But there is a Master Chief doll on a cliff here, kind of by one of the squads. I think it's by Boxer Squad. So, and he's just there, like on a rollout mat on the side of the cliff. So those are fun little Easter eggs to find throughout. And there's a bunch of different characters all throughout the different areas. There's also a Brute barbecue in the kind of the southwest corner.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, there's like a little area. There's just so much fun stuff to find, right, in the open world. And there's little encounters that are unique. And this one has like some barbecue chicken and some fruit. Like,
how's the fruit look in Infinite? I know that's a big topic.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, did they improve the fruit physics? Because I know that was really important to some people.
It's important to all of us.
Look at that.
And then there are Forerunner Artifacts. This is the other thing to find. So there are, remember in the 2018 trailer where you see the Marines walking through those rings, and it's also in the 2019 demo, or was it the 2020 demo, where you see the rings. So those are actually collectibles. You find those scattered throughout the maps. There are 2 of them in this area, and when you scan them, they will play an audio log. The audio log is from a character named Despondent Pyre, which we'll learn more about later. So we will read those when Matt goes over the audio logs in a little bit.
These were a really cool collectible. It was a cool moment when I figured out what these were.
Yeah.
And I stumbled across them, like, oh, this is cool. And I was immediately on the hunt for them then after that. I mean, there's cool little dialogue. I like what they are as well as what they give you. I thought it was cool.
And the way the weapon sets them up, too, she's like, these are really mysterious and ancient, like older than the Forerunners.
Yeah.
Like, there's some weird stuff happening with these things. So I feel like there's more stories to be told about these.
Foreshadowing.
So there's 2. There's one up on top, kind of the mountain by those 2 squads, Boxer and Cayman. There's one on top of there, and there's another hill on the kind of the west of the map. But there's the second one, and they're numbered, so it's weird. So you find Forerunner Artifact 3 and Forerunner Artifact 4. They're like, those are the numbers. Spoiler, there's 7 of them. But the audio logs play in order.
Which is nice.
So it kind of tells the complete story of Despondent Pyre throughout.
Why so despondent?
All right, I think that's it. Unless you guys want to touch on anything else.
Audio logs?
Yes, let's do some audio logs. Or is there any other callouts, David, trivia-wise? We probably just touched on everything there.
No, that's more or less everything I can think of in this area. There's a few random bits and pieces, but like I said, that's it. There's nothing.
Cool. All right, let's do audio logs. Matt.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the FOB audio logs. So the first one is preparations.
Alright, I need an ETA on the weapon.
37 minutes, 52 seconds, Captain Lasky.
I don't suppose you could speed that up?
I imagine that's a question for her, sir.
Well, fair enough. Is the escort fleet in position?
Aye, sir. We've got 6 Mulsanne frigates in the advance group ready to move.
Acknowledged. Have them set course at full speed. Hopefully we won't be far behind. I don't like this waiting. We're sitting ducks out here.
Okay, next one is Captain's Report.
Captain's report. I Math 101, mark timestamp. Encryption Lambda Chi Alpha. I've spoken to Commander Palmer, who's assured me that our Spartan contingent is ready to go. Commander Sarpong offers similar sentiments regarding our infantry and ODST divisions. Spartan Lock is already well underway with the next stages of Breaker Trip, but each time out, I wonder if we've pressed our luck too far. And now, of course, comes my favorite part of my day. Debriefing with Dr. Halsey. The good doctor's unquestionably brilliant, but at an ever-increasing cost.
So we'll continue to uncover what happened to the Infinity. Or I do like how this calls out like Palmer, because a lot of you're like, well, what happened to Palmer? What happened to Locke? Like they call out a bunch of stuff to touch on, I guess, later. Right now we're focused on what Chief is up to, like in game.
This one really very clear makes it that the ODSTs and a good number of Spartans were doing other things, like they weren't on the Infinity. Okay, so we will then begin the outpost intel, and this is for Ransom Keep.
Brother Arak, our scouts have identified 2 key sites that seem quite promising for excavation. We will soon be ready to dig, but we must remain vigilant. Unnatural defenses lurk beneath the surfaces of these rings. Advise your troops to salvage any human machines laid low in battle. The material will be needed for repairs in the difficult days to come. Good hunting, Brother Arak. When this is all over, I will tell you of how I survived my days on the Great Foundry.
I like that. Good hunting. Next up we have the Dream of Atriox.
Look around, brothers and sisters. The way our horizon curves up into the sky, binding us together. It was not the Covenant that finally delivered upon this promise. It was Atriox, and he's banished. He took those first defiant steps and tread a path the prophets could not follow. The result is the dream of Atriox made manifest. This place, this ring, is now our home, our fortress, our sword.
Wow, he's really got that motivational speaking down. Okay.
Nice.
Next up, we have to go to the artifact. Oh
right?
no, we got two
the
more.
UNSC.
Yeah, we got 2 more. Oh, here we go. They were up. Okay. So this one is Outpost Intel to Andro Valeros.
So, this is it? I haven't seen a friendly face for weeks, maybe months. There may be some Marines in this compound. If I can't get our people out, well, I loaded all the remaining C-12 into this Warthog. Get this message to my son, Andrew Valeros. He lives on New Carthage. Andy, I know that I told you I would come home, but I can't keep that promise. And that hurts more than you'll ever know. No matter what, know that I love you. Find my son. Tell him I died saving others. Tell him to never lose hope.
Another message meant for home, but we don't even know what direction that is anymore. Astronavigation is still trying to recalibrate, but one thing is certain, we're no longer in the Ephes system. During the destruction event, something or someone moved Zeta Halo. Ooh!
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Ooh, something moved.
So I think what that comment that mentions is, remember how you see the Halo at the very beginning of the game, and then you see a planet?
Yeah.
But that planet's no longer nearby anymore. Like you would have seen that somewhere in the skybox, so you don't see that anymore.
Oh, okay.
Halo itself moved.
So that's what happened. So, like, obviously, when you scan for Infinity, and Infinity's not in the region, so everybody that bailed on Infinity and got onto Zeta moved with Zeta, and they just left all the forces behind.
Yep.
Oh. I didn't hear
That's interesting. I never put that together.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so that explains pretty much every question I've ever had about what happened to the Infinity. It just got left behind in the rubble.
Potentially, yeah. Like
Whoa.
It might have been destroyed though, because that's what they were the Banished have been boasting about. But who knows?
I don't think they'd know though, because like
Yeah, if Zeta like
the opening
winked
cutscene,
out of existence.
Yeah.
kicked the shit out of it, and then Zeta moved after the big explosion.
Yeah.
So they haven't gone back to
And
figure out what happened.
Eshram and them are stuck on Zeta, right? Because Tremonia said we're stuck out here.
Yeah, I don't think Andrew Valeros or this family doesn't seem to have any larger connection to the Halo universe. I think it's more or less just saying, hey, like, these Marines miss home.
Yeah.
Like, there's just adding some humanity to all this.
Oh, for sure. It certainly does. It's a very moving kind of thing, you know, like this person was willing to, you know, last-ditch effort here. Next one is Making Ends Meet, field survey of salvage site.
4 days ago, I linked up with some Marines who had observed the Banished collecting and salvaging UNSC hardware at a nearby outpost. First I've heard of them doing that, but if the Banished really are as stranded on this ring as we are, they might be running low on raw materials and recycling UNSC scrap to make ends meet. Obviously, they're not going to build a fully operational Wraith from a Warthog chassis, but our equipment could still be plenty useful if they get creative. Let's see that they don't.
And I think that's a great lore reason as to why you don't see a whole lot of Wraiths zooming around on Infinite.
Yep.
Alright, and then lastly we have the artifacts.
The outpost intel, it's very often kind of specific to like what's going on in that outpost, so I think it's really good. Just adds a ton of context
Right.
to what's going on the ring.
It's cool. It really is cool. Artifact 3, so that's the one we find.
They played in order though, so let's start with the first one.
Oh, so it would be Artifact 1, it's just we...
It's Artifact 1, yeah. Even though you find Artifact 3 and 4, that's like their number, the audio plays in order.
Okay, that's what I was curious about. I'm like, Artifact 3 plays Artifact 3 log? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many years have I been here now? 2,000 or 20,000? Longer? Does it even matter? Why did my makers entrust me with this installation? As its custodian, I feel there is much that I do not know, or that has been kept from me. Its history is complicated, constantly rewritten. But why? There is much to learn, and if nothing else, I have time.
He kind of, Despondent kind of sounds like going through the same kind of questions that 343 went through.
Yeah.
Artifact 2.
I continue to be impressed with the intricacies of this installation. Trillions of systems working in harmony, forever shifting, adapting, an ecosystem to preserve life, and when necessary, destroy it, for the greater good.
I was kind of... So that's why the audio logs are like, or all these little artifacts and extended stuff outside really do kind of fill in little bits of story elements that really like we just learned about, like that someone moved the ring. Like I've played through it a couple times and that was completely missed on me.
Yep. Yeah, you gotta dial into those audio logs. There's a lot of little bits of information that they include.
Well, that's like in the description of the audio log, so I don't even think that's what plays. So like I've listened to them, I'm like, oh, that's cool, yeah, cool, you know. But like
that's probably why I never fucking knew that. That's a weird place to put such a key piece of information.
I feel like that's like that should have been addressed in the main campaign.
What
like,
the thing was talking about it, yeah.
or like
for sure.
the weapon should have said, "Oh yeah, well Zeta Halo just recently went through a slip space, or it moved, or it
Or
jumped."
the pilot should surely know that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he could have made an offhand comment. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, who knows what happened ever since we all got sucked into? How did they move? That's another question. I guess it has something to do with those.
Probably the explosion itself.
Yeah.
You know, like caused such a big force that it just shot it off into space.
Oh, good point. Yeah. Once you set an object in motion.
I wonder, is it like a self-defense mechanism that the ring gets heavily damaged and just goes, "Oh fuck, get out of here"?
Oh, good point.
That's a good point.
It jumps closer to the arc for repairs.
Possibly, yeah, to something like that for repairs, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe it's on the way to the arc.
Ooh.
All right, we are getting long, so let's do our community questions and get out of here. Krista, do you got Discord up?
I do. Colin on January 14th, 2022 at 3 p.m. says, "You upgraded your scanner. It used to only highlight audio logs, vehicles, weapons, etc. It now identifies blank in your surrounding area.
Oh,
Parentheses.
boy.
Question for mission debrief, Halo Infinite - recovery mission and lockdown open world area." Alright, so Matt says spent shell casings, no help whatsoever. Chad Smith Dad says MILFs. DeSudo says spent MILFs. Toki McPot says squirrel nuts so I can steal them. And maybe buried acorns too, I don't know. And then the pesky bird says banana stashes for Craig. Very nice.
Beautiful. Facebook, David.
Colin Perkins, admin, January 14th, 7:59 p.m. You upgraded your scanner. It used to only highlight audio logs, vehicles, weapons, etc. It now identifies blank in your surrounding area. Question for mission debrief, Halo Infinite recovery mission and lockdown open world area. That's a terrible name. Alright, and he has a picture of BR, just a picture of Chief of the BR. Good work, Colin. So
there's some highlighted stuff. I actually made that myself because I ran the scanner, did a screenshot, so you can actually see.
Oh, good call. Yeah, good shout out. Good shout out.
Nice.
Alright, so we have a lot of comments in here, so here we go. Matthew says, the Banished restroom / dropping, seriously, where did they poo? In the woods, man, in the woods. Dayton says, nipples. And a picture of a grunt DJ. Dave says, weed. Alan says, food. Jonathan says, podcast episodes, which it kind of does, technically. Where your audio logs, Jamie says where your audio logs are after you found them, so you know when you already have one. That's a good shout out. Lucas says it highlights ammo boxes in the color of ammo type, so that I'm not checking every ammo box for kinetic ammo. That is an excellent comment. Yes, Lucas. Lance says the one and only Chips Dubbo. I feel like he should be in there somewhere. Axel says animals, we need more wildlife. Chuck says, I didn't notice if it's already doing this, but knowing where the damn propaganda towers are would be nice. It doesn't really. It will highlight them if you're near them.
Yep.
It's just like a column. It's not really interesting. Matthew says, hot singles in your area may include an alarmingly high ratio of grunts and Craigs. That's pretty funny. And then Manny says, the bloody gore that's been missing a la Combat Evolved.
Oh.
He wants his blood. Kenneth says, the flood. Yeah. Caleb says booty. Colin says this is the correct answer.
That is the correct answer.
Dickie says the button on Chief's suit that checks him off. You know it exists. Doesn't Dickie? We got rid of it. Brad says the location of the asshole that keeps calling everyone about their car's extended warranty. That's very specific, Brad. Very specific.
They're everywhere.
Storm says where the skulls are at. And the goddamn toilet, knowing Chief is probably going to take a dump. Blah. Yeah, pretty much. Clyde says, a way for Halo Zeta to be as dark as 2 betrayals or Truth and Reconciliation at night.
Yeah, make
it would be cool if there was
again.
more of night. Night would be cool.
Need a planet, though. Can't no night mode without a planet.
Well, it's artificial. Like, everything on the ring is artificial, including the quote-unquote daylight. There's no sun either.
There's sun nearby, isn't there?
Or is it fake?
How could it be fake, though? Requiem had a fake sun.
Yeah.
But the ring
Some
scan...
of them had fake. It could have fake. I think the Ark had a fake sun, too.
Well, technically, you could just treat it that, like, if you're on a portion of the ring, that when it spins, it spins so that the other side of the ring blocks out the sunlight.
But
You
just
could
for
make
like
it work.
a little second, like a half second, then it's
Mm.
right again.
Yeah.
Anyway. Is that it?
Here we go.
Space is
That's
weird,
it.
man.
All right. Space is weird. All right.
It's not very
everybody, thank
nice. You can't just talk about people's faces like that.
Thank you, everybody, for responding. Those are always fun. That will do it for our debriefing of the recovery mission and lockdown area from Halo Infinite. On the next episode, we'll be covering the tower.
Dun, dun,
Send us your
dun.
thoughts. podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet. Podcast Evolved on Twitter. You can also support the show by visiting Podcast Evolved on Patreon. Until next time, evolve.
Evolve!
Evolve.